One fact about every AP NFL MVP. 1957, Jim Brown, the first player to win AP MVP. He was also a rookie and the youngest to do it at age 21. 1958, Jim Brown, the first player to win the award back-to-back. 1959, Johnny Unitas, the first quarterback to win the award. 1961, Paul Hornung. There was no AP MVP in 1960, making Paul the first to win the award post reinstating it. 1962, Jim Taylor. The Green Bay Packers became the first franchise to win this award from two different players back-to-back. 1963, Y.A. Tittle. Aside from Eli Manning, Y.A. Tittle is the only other Giants quarterback with multiple 30-touchdown pass seasons. 1964, Johnny Unitas, the first player to win the award on two separate occasions that wasn't back-to-back. 1965, Jim Brown, the first player to win the award 3 times. 1966, Bart Starr. Bart Starr has the fewest passing yards by a quarterback MVP in a season, with 2,257 passing yards in 1966. 1967, Johnny Unitas, the first time an AP MVP won the award but missed the postseason. This was a unique case because both the Colts and Rams had an amazing 11-1-2 record, but the Rams had the tiebreaker in their favor, thus the Colts missed the postseason. 1968, Earl Morrall, the first AP MVP quarterback to go from being a backup on a different team to a starter on a new team and winning the award. Just one season prior, he was a backup for the New York Giants, and then in 68, he was a starter for the Colts and had an amazing season. 1969, nice, Roman Gabriel. Roman is the first Filipino-American to win AP MVP and is the third all-time in Rams passing yards with 22,223 passing yards. 1970, John Brodie. John Brodie's MVP season was a hole-in-one because he's also the only former NFL player to win a PGA Tour event. 1971, Alan Page. This Hall of Fame defensive tackle was the first defensive player to win the AP MVP award. 1972, Larry Brown. He rushed for 1,216 yards in 72 despite sitting out the final 2 games of the season. 1973, O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson killed it this season, rushing for 2,003 yards. However, it seems like his team's playoff chances were murdered as the Bills finished second in the AFC East, going 9-5. All that individual bloody hard work just to be stabbed from playing in the playoffs. This is the second time an AP MVP missed the postseason. 1974, Ken Stabler. From stabbing to Stabler, we have Ken Stabler. Ken was drafted by the legendary John Madden, and together they won a Super Bowl in 1976. 1975, Fran Tarkenton. At the time of his retirement, he owned every significant passing record at the time with 3,686 pass completions, 47,003 passing yards, and 342 touchdowns. 1976, Burt Jones. He wasn't just good during the 76 season, he pretty much dominated the entire decade as being one of only 3 quarterbacks to achieve a 100-plus passer rating throughout the entirety of the 1970s. 1977, Walter Payton. It seems every GOAT has a flu game. Walter Payton's flu game came on November 20th, 1977, when the Bears beat the Vikings and Payton got 275 rushing yards while having flu-like symptoms, which at the time was a single-game NFL record for rushing yards. 1978, Terry Bradshaw. TB12 was the only quarterback who won 4 Super Bowls while calling his own plays, and I'm talking about the original TB12. 1979, Earl Campbell. Campbell became the first Texas Longhorns football player to have his jersey retired by the university, his number 20 being retired in 79, which was the same year he won AP MVP with the Houston Oilers. 1980, Brian Sipe. In 1980, Brian passed for 4,132 yards. To this day, this is still the only season a Browns quarterback threw for 4,000 plus yards in a season. 1981, Ken Anderson. In this season, Ken led the Bengals to their first Super Bowl, and then one season later in 82, he had the NFL record for the highest completion percentage of 70.6%, which stood for 25 years until Drew Brees broke it in 2009. 1982, Mark Mosley. He's the only place kicker to win AP MVP, and by technicality, he's the only AP MVP to win the award, playing the least amount of games in a season with just 9 games. 1983, Joe Theismann. 1983 was a great year for Joe. He won more than just AP MVP. He also won PFWA MVP, AP Offensive Player of the Year, and NEA MVP, plus he just came off of a Super Bowl win in the previous season. 1984, Dan Marino. In 1984, Dan became the first quarterback to pass for more than 5,000 yards in a single season with 5,084 passing yards, and the first to complete more than 40 touchdown passes with 48 in a single season. 1985, Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen is the only player to win a Heisman Trophy trophy, an NCAA national championship, a Super Bowl, an AP MVP, and a Super Bowl MVP all within his same professional career. 1986, Lawrence Taylor, the only linebacker to win AP MVP, the second defensive player to win an AP MVP after Alan Page, and he's the only NFL player to win AP NFL Defensive Player of the Year in his rookie season. 1987, John Elway. John Elway this season had an 83.4 passer rating, ranked 11th in the NFL that season, also the only time a QB won AP MVP without being in the top 10 for passer ratings. Just for your information, Jerry Rice caught 22 touchdowns in 12 games during this very season. 1988, Boomer Esiason. Boomer is the only quarterback to own a single game passing record for two teams. For the Bengals, he had a single best game of 490 passing yards, and for the Cardinals, he got 522 passing yards. 1989, Joe Montana. At the time when Joe won his AP MVP, he had the second highest single season completion percentage at 70.2% during the AP MVP era since 1957, second behind Ken Anderson's 1982 at 70.6. 1990, Joe Montana, the second player but first quarterback to win the AP MVP in back-to-back seasons. 1991, Thurman Thomas. In 91, Thomas amassed more than 2,000 all-purpose yards, just the 11th player to do so. 1992, Steve Young. Young is the first left-handed quarterback in AP MVP history. 1993, Emmitt Smith. Smith became the first running back to win both regular season MVP and Super Bowl MVP in the same year. 1994, Steve Young. In 94, Steve Young at the time held the record for the highest passer rating in a single season at 112.8. 1995, Brett Favre. In 95, Favre won his first of 3 AP MVP awards. He passed for a career high 4,413 yards in 95, but Green Bay fell to the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC Championship game, so there was no Super Bowl this year for him. 1996, Brett Favre. Favre led the league in touchdown passes for the second of 3 consecutive seasons in 1996, plus the Packers won a Super Bowl, the first Packers win since Super Bowl II. 1997, Brett Favre and Barry Sanders. Favre is the first and only player so far to win 3 AP MVPs in a row. Barry Sanders also won AP MVP, as both players got 18 voting points, tied for first place. 1998, Terrell Davis. Davis became the 4th player to rush for over 2,000 yards, getting 2,008 yards in 1998. 1999, Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner is the only athlete to be included in both the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Arena Football Hall of Fame. 2000, Marshall Faulk. Marshall is the only NFL player to have a total of 12,000 plus rushing yards and 6,000 plus receiving yards. 2001, Kurt Warner. During this season, he threw for 36 touchdown passes, 4,830 passing yards, and had a passer rating of 101.4. 2002, Rich Gannon. Rich is the only quarterback in NFL history from Delaware to play in the Super Bowl. 2003, Peyton Manning and Steve McNair, the second time in AP MVP voting history, with 2 MVPs both getting 16 voting points each, tied for first. 2004, Peyton Manning. At the time, in 2004, Peyton set a record for 49 touchdown passes and a passer rating of 121.1, both NFL records for a single season at the time. 2005, Shaun Alexander. Alexander became the first running back in NFL history to record 15 or more touchdowns in 5 consecutive seasons. 2006, LaDainian Tomlinson. In 2006, Tomlinson led the league in rushing yards and broke both Shaun Alexander's record for most touchdowns scored in one season with 31, and broke the 46-year-old record for the most single-season points scored by scoring 186 points. 2007, Tom Brady. Tom Brady was 30 years old when he won his first AP MVP, which is crazy to think about considering he has 2 more in store for him from this point on. 2008, Peyton Manning. In 2008, Peyton had 4,002 passing yards, but his rival Drew Brees had 5,069 nice passing yards. Drew somehow did not win AP MVP. 2009, Peyton Manning again. In 2009, Drew Brees beat Peyton Manning in every important QB metric out there except for total passing yards, but even then, Peyton only had a slight edge of 112 yards. How Drew has 0 AP MVPs for his entire career is still a question yet to be answered. 2010, Tom Brady, the first unanimous AP MVP in NFL history. 2011, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron this season has the highest single-season passer rating record all time so far with a rating of 122.5. 2012, Adrian Peterson. Peterson finished the 2012 season with 348 carries for 2,097 rushing yards, the second most ever for a running back in a single season. The The most rushing yards in a single season belongs to 1984 Eric Dickerson with 2,105 yards. 2013, Peyton Manning. This is Peyton Manning's 5th AP MVP, the most in NFL history, and in this season, he set the record for the highest single season passing yard total with 5,477 passing yards in 2013. 2014, Aaron Rodgers. From 2009 through 2014, Aaron Rodgers ranked first in the NFL in expected points added / play. 2015, Cam Newton. Cam this season was like an MVP quarterback and running back fused into one. He threw 35 touchdown passes and ran for 10 more on his own. His team went 15-1 and made it to the Super Bowl. 2016, Matt Ryan. During this season, Ryan had the highest single season yards per attempt mark in NFL history among players who attempted at least 400 passes with 9.3 yards per attempt. 2017, Tom Brady. In 2017, Tom Brady became the oldest player to win AP MVP, winning at age 40, being the only 40-year-old so far to win this award. 2018, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick threw for 5,097 yards this season. He became the only quarterback in history to throw for more than 5,000 yards in a single season in both college and in the NFL. 2019, Lamar Jackson. He is the second unanimous AP MVP in NFL history, the second youngest player to win the award, and the youngest quarterback to win the award. He's also the youngest quarterback to start a playoff game, doing this at 22 years old. 2020, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron threw a career-high 70.7% completion percentage, which is 6th all-time. Drew Brees is 1st all-time with 74.4%. Again, Drew has no AP MVPs. 2021, Aaron Rodgers, the second oldest AP MVP, winning this award at age 38. 2022, Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is the youngest player ever to win both League MVP and Super Bowl title within the same season at roughly 27 years old. So here was one fact about every AP NFL MVP so far. Let me know what your favorite MVP is and what you want to see in the future. Don't forget to tackle that like button and subscribe with notifications turned on. I'm Touchdown Rewind, and I'll fast forward to you later.